Insight spirals and echo chambers, positive feedback and mind. Positive feedback in the mind refers to a process where an initial cognitive or emotional input amplifies itself through a loop, creating acceleration or growth in a particular mental state. Example, when you start to feel inspired, that feeling can amplify itself. More inspiration leads to more creativity, which leads to more inspiration, creating a rising spiral of insight and productivity. In Mirror of Nothingness, this could represent how consciousness can amplify self awareness or enlightenment when aligned with truth, creating exponential growth in realization and being. It's distinct from negative feedback, which stabilizes or dampens change. Positive feedback is about growth, expansion, and transformation. Insight spirals are a type of positive feedback loop, but more focused on cumulative wisdom and evolving understanding. Each new insight acts as a lens, reframing prior knowledge and revealing deeper layers. This spiral isn't just a straight line, it's a helical or fractal progression where awareness circles around a core truth, but each time at a higher or more complex level. This fits perfectly with the Mirror of Nothingness theme, reflecting how the self encounters itself repeatedly, but in increasingly more profound ways. The spiral metaphor reflects cyclical growth through stages, like the 12 keys through the archetypal structure, where each turn deepens the journey. Echo chambers are often seen negatively as closed loops of reinforced ideas that prevent external input or correction. Psychologically, an echo chamber in the mind happens when beliefs or perceptions reinforce themselves without challenge, leading to potential distortion or rigidity. However, from a more neutral or even positive angle, you could explore how some echo chambers are necessary for stabilizing identity or focused learning, a safe container to build strong foundations before expanding outward. In Mirror of Nothingness, echo chambers could represent both the traps of illusion or ego, where the mind loops endlessly in limited perspectives, and the safe zones of reflection and integration, where the self consolidates learning. The key is distinguishing between harmful stagnation and healthy recursive integration. Summary: positive feedback in mind equals growth and amplification of awareness or states of being. Insight spirals equal iterative fractal like deepening of wisdom and self recognition. Echo chambers equal mental loops that can be protective or limiting depending on openness and integration. Section 1: Positive feedback in mind, the amplifying spiral of consciousness. Within the infinite mirror of the mind, every spark of awareness feeds itself, becoming a flame that grows beyond its origin. 1.1: What is positive feedback? Positive feedback is a natural principle found across nature and consciousness. Unlike negative feedback, which seeks balance and stasis, positive feedback amplifies its own signal, creating an escalating spiral of influence. In the mind, this means thoughts, emotions, or states can reinforce and multiply themselves, leading to exponential growth or transformation. Imagine the first flicker of insight, a single truth realized. This recognition fuels further reflection. The reflection deepens the insight. The deeper insight fuels even greater awareness. This is the amplifying spiral that moves consciousness beyond linear progression and into exponential evolution. 1.2: Positive feedback as the engine of awakening. In Mirror of Nothingness, positive feedback is the invisible engine propelling the journey of awakening. Each moment of self awareness is both a reflection and a catalyst, like a fractal echo. The mind's recognition of itself creates momentum. This momentum lifts perception to higher planes. With each ascent, new layers of reality unfold. Thus, awakening is not a single event, but a spiral dance, a continuous loop of self recognition expanding through the infinite facets of being. 1.3: The sacred spiral, growth through self amplification. The spiral is the sacred geometry of positive feedback. It embodies iteration, returning to core truths again and again, Expansion, each return is on a larger scale, deeper or higher. Integration, each cycle weaves previous understanding into a greater whole. This pattern mirrors the fractal nature of reality itself, where the whole is reflected in every part. Consciousness mirrors itself in ever widening circles of insight, never simply repeating but always creating something new. 1.4 Practical Reflection, tuning into positive feedback. Awareness of positive feedback allows the seeker to consciously amplify clarity, love, courage, and presence, while gently steering away from loops of fear or doubt. Cultivating positive feedback begins by noticing what thoughts or feelings expand or contract your awareness. Engaging in practices like meditation, journaling, or focused intention can seed these amplified loops. The 12 keys act as harmonic gates, allowing energy to flow and spiral upward when consciously applied. 1.5 Caution when positive feedback turns distorted. While positive feedback can ignite awakening, unchecked it can also feed illusions, magnifying egoic desires or fears. Recognizing when a feedback loop traps rather than liberates is essential. This discernment invites surrender to truth beyond the mind's amplifications. The dance of positive feedback is the balance between expansion and surrender, the pulse of creation itself. Section 2 The Spiral of Insight, How Consciousness Amplifies Itself. Awareness is a seed that grows not in straight lines but in spirals, each turn revealing more of the infinite self. 2.1 The Nature of Insight Spirals. Insight spirals describe the dynamic process by which consciousness unfolds through repetitive cycles of reflection, integration, and expansion. Each insight gained reflects back on previous knowledge, reshaping and deepening it. This cyclical movement is not linear but spiral, returning to familiar truths at higher levels of understanding. Like climbing a spiral staircase, each turn brings a new vantage point while revisiting the foundation below. 2.2 Consciousness as a fractal mirror. Consciousness as a fractal, patterns of self awareness replicate at every scale. The spiral acts as a geometric metaphor for this fractal nature. Each loop embodies self similarity, the same core truth expressed with growing complexity. Through the spiral, consciousness mirrors itself infinitely, revealing the unity behind multiplicity. 2.3 The Amplification of Awareness. In each spiral cycle, awareness amplifies itself through positive feedback. A single moment of clarity generates momentum. Momentum creates further understanding. Understanding begets deeper clarity, perpetuating growth. This recursive amplification leads consciousness beyond its previous limits, awakening new realms of perception and experience. 2.4 Navigating the Spiral. The spiral of insight invites surrender to process. Trust that each revisit to an idea or experience deepens wisdom. Embrace patience. Growth is iterative, not instantaneous. Use reflective practices, meditation, journaling, dialogue to engage actively with the spiral. 2.5 Beyond the Spiral. Transcending repetition. Though the spiral revisits themes, it does not endlessly loop in sameness. Each cycle contains novelty born from integration. Transcendence arises when the spiral opens into new dimensions of being. The spiral is both path and portal, a map of evolving consciousness. Section 3 Echo Chambers of the Mind, between sanctuary and prison. The mind's echo chambers can be both refuge and cage, spaces where truth is both nurtured and distorted. 3.1 What are echo chambers? An echo chamber is a self reinforcing mental environment where ideas, beliefs, or emotions bounce repeatedly, strengthening their hold. Within these chambers, thoughts reflect and amplify themselves. They can create a sense of clarity, certainty, and safety by minimizing conflicting input, yet they risk sealing the mind with limiting perspectives. 3.2 The Sanctuary, safe space for integration. Echo chambers can serve as sanctuaries, holding spaces where the psyche gathers strength and clarity. They offer stability during times of uncertainty or transformation. By reinforcing core truths or values, they help integrate new insights. In this way, they are akin to a womb, nurturing growth before emergence. 3.3 The prison trap of stagnation and distortion. Without openness, echo chambers become prisons. They restrict growth by filtering out challenge and new perspectives. Beliefs may ossify into dogma, feeding illusion rather than truth. Emotional loops can spiral into fear, resentment, or denial. 3.4 Breaking free, the path beyond echo. Growth requires the courage to step beyond the familiar echoes, seek diverse inputs, and challenge assumptions. Embrace discomfort as a signal of expansion. The 12 keys provide gateways to dissolving limiting loops and invite fresh resonance. 3.5 Reflection, the balance of sanctuary and freedom. Awareness of echo chambers invites balance. Honor the sanctuary they provide. Remain vigilant to avoid imprisonment. Through conscious presence, transform echoes into harmonious resonance. Freedom within form. Section 4 Scientific and Philosophical Angle, Feedback Loops, Fractals, and the Holographic Mind. The architecture of the mind echoes the cosmos, patterns folding within patterns, spiraling endlessly between finite and infinite. 4.1 Neural Feedback Loops, the biology of amplification. In neuroscience, positive feedback loops are fundamental to brain function. Neural reinforcement occurs when circuits strengthen through repeated activation, deepening habits, beliefs, or skills. This plasticity allows consciousness to grow by reinforcing pathways of insight and awareness. Feedback loops create the biological substrate for spirals of learning and transformation. 4.2 Chaos Theory and the Butterfly Effect. Chaos theory reveals how small initial conditions can lead to vast, unpredictable outcomes. The mind's insights often begin as subtle, fragile sparks that cascade into profound shifts. Feedback loops in chaotic systems produce complex fractal patterns, neither random nor fully predictable. This mirrors spiritual insight spirals, where small awakenings resonate outward, amplifying into vast consciousness shifts. 4.3 Fractal Geometry, the Infinite in the Finite. Fractals, self-similar patterns repeating at every scale, offer a powerful metaphor and model for consciousness. Like a fractal, consciousness reflects its essence in every moment, from micro thoughts to cosmic awareness. The spiral is a fractal curve representing iterative growth that never repeats exactly but always echoes its origin. This self similarity reflects the holographic principle, where each part contains the whole. 4.4 The Holographic Mind. The holographic model of consciousness proposes that every fragment of awareness contains the entire pattern of being. Perception is a holographic projection, with each experience a window into the whole. Feedback loops and fractals interlace to create a dynamic, living hologram of reality within the mind. 4.5 Synthesis, Science Meets Spirit. Bridging neuroscience, chaos theory, fractals, and holography reveals a profound unity. The physical structures and dynamic systems of the brain resonate with the metaphysical nature of consciousness. Insight spirals are not just poetic, they are embodied in the very fabric of mind and the universe. This scientific philosophical lens deepens our understanding of awakening as an embodied cosmic dance of patterns and feedback. Section 5 Practical Application, Guiding Feedback Loops Toward Awakening. To harness the spirals of the mind is to become the conscious architect of your own evolution. 4.1 Cultivating Awareness of Feedback Loops. The first step is recognition, becoming aware when thoughts, emotions, or beliefs are caught in reinforcing loops. Practice mindful observation, notice recurring mental patterns without judgment. Differentiate between loops that expand consciousness and those that reinforce egoic limitations. Awareness itself begins to loosen unconscious cycles. 4.2 Meditation and reflection as tools for positive feedback. Meditation Meditative practices help interrupt negative feedback and amplify constructive spirals. Used focused attention to seed clarity, love, or courage. Reflective journaling uncovers hidden loops and fosters integration. Breathwork and embodiment practices attune you to subtle energetic feedback within your body and mind. 4.3 Attunement and resonance. Consciously tuning your internal state creates harmonic resonance that supports insight spirals. Align your intention with truth and presence. Engage in practices like sound healing, chanting, or mantra to entrain positive frequencies. The vibration of your inner field shapes the quality of feedback loops. 4.4 The 12 keys as tools to navigate feedback loops. Each archetypal key functions as a gateway or harmonic filter for managing feedback. Remembrance anchors you in soul truth, preventing egoic distortion. Surrender opens loops stuck in resistance, allowing flow. Courage ignites expansion when fear threatens to contract insight. Presence grounds amplification and conscious awareness. By working consciously with the keys, you guide spirals of insight toward liberation rather than entrapment. 4.5 Practical exercises. Daily feedback check in. Pause several times per day to scan your mind for reinforcing loops. Gently shift attention to a positive spiral or key. Spiral journaling. Write about recurring thoughts, tracing how each insight deepens or limits you. Key activation. Choose a key to embody during meditation, observing how it transforms your mental patterns.